Essentially, we care for the spiritual, moral and physical well-being of seafarers and their families worldwide. That is the primary task of the mission to seafarers, as it is of other maritime missions. But pastoral care needs to be reinforced by ensuring that seafarers' advocacy is in place. So we take examples of wrongdoing and try to ensure that seafarers are not disadvantaged again and again by highlighting the root causes of the exploitation and abuse. That's a very important part of our work, so that pastoral and prophetic go hand in hand. An example of the pastoral care would be when a seafarer has an accident on board and there is serious injury, and of course we support them through their stay in hospital. But if that injury has occurred because of inadequate maintenance, then that's a matter that needs to be brought to the attention of the regulatory authorities, and we would do that. We would notify Port State Control or indeed the flag state. There are some unique features of the Maritime Labour Convention. One is the inclusion of fundamental human rights. Another would be the provisions for ensuring enforcement when things are not as they should be, and perhaps also the definition of seafarer, ship and ship owner. One other very important feature of the Maritime Labour Convention is the provisions for a speedy amendment. It's called the tacit amendment procedure. It's unique within the United Nations system, which normally is very ponderous. But because the shipping industry is such a fast-moving one, the convention needs to keep pace with developments. And as always, it's only in the implementation that we discover if the principles are workable. If in the implementation we discover it needs to be amended, it can be done so quickly under the tacit amendment procedure. An important strength is that there are principles for the enforcement. The mechanisms are clearly laid out, and if there is non-compliance, instead of asking and persuading ship owners and flag states, these things can be ensured through the enforcement mechanisms. The monitoring is done by not only various agencies within shipping, but my own organisation, the Mission to Seafarers. We have various complaints coming to us. It will be interesting to see that as seafarers become more aware of their rights and responsibilities, if the level of complaints increases. Over time, it's hoped that as the industry puts the things that are wrong to right, eventually the standards will be there, seafarers will benefit and complaints will drop. There is one other organisation, also Anglican, based in the United States of America, the Center for Seafarers' Rights, which is a division of the Seamen's Church Institute of New York and New Jersey, primarily working within the States. But they have a department, as we do. The Mission to Seafarers, of course, works internationally in some 71 countries, 264 ports, and that's the strength, the network whereby we can support seafarers. We need to highlight anything that's wrong within the regulatory regimes, whether they be flag state, port state controls, or indeed internationally through intergovernmental organisations such as the International Maritime Organization and the International Labour Organization. And of course, the Maritime Labour Convention is promulgated by the ILO. Fatigue has a major impact upon the safe operation of the vessel. Seafarers need to be alert at all times, and it's very important that they remain within the maximum hours of work permitted by the Convention, and to ensure that they have their minimum hours of rest. Fatigue is brought about by the fast turnaround of vessels in port and, of course, the reduced manning. It means that seafarers have to do so much work with it when they're in port, as well as the arrival at port, that it impacts upon the safe navigation of the vessel. Another really important factor would be shore leave. So very often seafarers are denied shore leave, and when they can be on board for in excess of a year, not to put a foot ashore in all of that time is really damaging to their health and well-being. A third thing that is really important is the ongoing training and education for seafarers, to ensure that they maintain their understanding of the latest equipment, that they have the continuing professional development and are employable. In the shipping industry, there is now great security concerns. In the pre-arrival documentation sent to a port, the ship's manifest will list the crew, and it's very damaging indeed for seafarers to be denied shore leave on the basis of their nationality, or even just their name can make authorities shoreside very worried. And that's really discrimination of the worst kind. One of the very interesting factors of the Maritime Labour Convention is that inspectors are normally drawn from the ranks of seafaring professionals that know everything there is to about the technical aspects of ship operation. But how do these inspectors know about welfare concerns? So flag states are very interested in understanding the welfare environment within which seafarers live. To ensure that understanding, I have undertaken the ILO course at the United Nations College in Turin to be accredited as a tutor for maritime labour inspectors, enabling flag states to call upon the mission to seafarers to help in their training of their inspectors in the welfare aspects of the convention. An example would be that the Liberian Register, very concerned about its welfare provisions, have asked us to provide that knowledge and expertise regarding welfare and the care of seafarers, in understanding how the Maritime Labour Convention impacts upon welfare provisions.